And definitely the Irish took a knock for quite a long time, probably post Lou Holtz, which seems to be the knock that they're taking across the board until Brian Kelly for good reason. But even with the NFL performance out of Notre Dame between the Lou Holtz teams and what we've seen over the last few years, but I think we've already seen an uptick. The uptick in recruiting has already cycled through to the NFL, and we've seen Notre Dame players make more of an impact here in the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, I think the knock on Notre Dame for at least a few years was the lack of skill position players. Obviously, the quarterback position, they still haven't really had a prominent quarterback in the NFL for a while, even though they've had some, first and second round picks with, Brady Quinn, Jimmy Clausen, Deshaun Kaiser, guys like that. But the knock for a while was, they produce offensive line, they produce tight ends, but what else do they produce? And, I think that, kind of like what you said, at least since the Brian Kelly era, that's changed. I mean, you had Jalen Smith at linebacker, for example, Jeremiah Lucicormoa this past year at linebacker as well. Drew Tranquil has been a really good linebacker in the NFL. His first couple of years, I know he tore his ACL last year, but his rookie season, he was doing really well. Manti Te'o didn't necessarily live up to the hype, but he was a 5-star kid that committed to Notre Dame and was a second-round pick. Probably would have been a first-round pick if not for the kind of the off-the-field stuff that we don't need to really get into today. But so those are some linebackers, of course, that have kind of made their mark. I mean, even at wide receiver, I mean, Michael Floyd was a first-round pick, didn't necessarily live up to his billing. Golden Tate was a really good, was a really good NFL wide receiver for a few years. Will Fuller, dynamic speed guy who's been good when he's been healthy. But I'll even say their bread and butter is still on the offensive line and tight end. I mean, you look at, I tell people this all the time. If you took if you were to put together a left tackle, like from left to right on the offensive line in the NFL, Notre Dame would probably have if you put them all on the same team, it'd be the best offensive line in the NFL. You'd have Ronnie Stanley at left tackle. You'd have Quentin Nelson at left guard. You'd have Nick Martin at center, Zach Martin at right guard, and Mike McGlinchey at right tackle. And then there's a slew of other guys that you can throw in there that are still playing as well. But I don't see how anybody else can make a line that's better than that.